Hey guys, this is Kate coming at you with an art therapy exercise today that I like to call parts cards. So, this art therapy exercise piggybacks on my video from last week where I discussed the internal family systems or IFS work around parts and the parts that kind of create and integrate within us to create a really dynamic system of personality and behavior in our world. So if you haven't already seen that video, please skip back to last week and check it out so you have more context for what I'm talking about. So today I'll talk to you about how I've created a process of creating these parts cards by combining the theory of IFS parts work with soul collage, which is a creative arts therapy process that uses collage to investigate and explore aspects of who people are in real life and in story and in myth, and it's just a really neat exploration process of the self. So I use an integration of both of those, and I also integrate creative writing, poetry, and storytelling because, as you'll see, I use writing for each of my cards. So in order to be prepared for this project, you'll need some kind of paper. I like to use watercolor paper because it's just a little thicker and you can layer it and use glue and you won't find as much of the wrinkling and kind of peeling that happens with the more lightweight papers. So you'll use paper and you'll need glue and collage materials as well as any other materials you'd like to use because you don't have to use collage only when you're creating your parts cards. So I like to use a circle for mine. This is just a shape that I've identified and a size I've identified that really works for me in terms of the amount of space I like to use to express what I'm trying to bring forward with each card. And it also allows for me to have enough space on the back for creative writing to fully express what I'm trying to bring forth in my cards. So you don't have to do a circular shape. You can choose another shape. I like the circle as an archetype of wholeness, as Carl Jung talks about in his work. And so that's why this appeals to me, but feel free to use any size and shape as you'd like. So as I've told you in my past video, there are so many parts. I'm not sure that I'll ever discover them all. I have an ongoing process of exploring and discovering my parts, and I add new parts every week. So as of now, this is the stack of my cards that I have created. I think that there's more than 50 here. And as I explore myself and I learn new pieces of who I am and how I engage with my world, I discover new parts of me and I create cards to represent those parts. So I will share with you today just a few of them so that you can have an idea of what this work looks like in real life. So we talked in our conversation last week about the IFS topic of true self or core self. So this is the essence of who you really are when you're not triggered, when you're not upset. This is the you that sees things clearly and compassionately. And I felt like it was really important to create a card to represent this part. So this is my core self card. I chose to only have one image here. You'll see in some of my other cards that I overlap and integrate many different collage images, but for core self, I just really wanted it to be simple and natural feeling. I feel when I look at her that she's open and compassionate, that she really sees me. And on the back, where I've written my description, I have included the 8 C's of IFS core self. So those are calmness, curiosity, compassion, clarity, confidence, creativity, connectedness, and courage. So IFS has discovered that those 8 qualities kind of come together to create the core self. And when operating from core self, you will be able to see not only yourself and your other parts with that kind of compassion and clarity and connectedness, but you'll also be able to engage with other people and the outside world with that kind of awareness as well. So this is an example of what true self can look like and what it looks like for me. All right, so another example I'll share with you. This is my wise woman archetype card. So we all have the wise woman, the wise man, the sage, the prophet, whatever you want to call it. This is an archetypal part that we see in stories and we all have within ourselves. So I created this part as a wise woman to really capture the way that it feels for me when I'm in a place where I feel like I have access to wisdom and compassion for others and sort of like experience in life and a deeper knowing than just the present moment. So when I was going through my collage box trying to find images that fit this, I was really looking for images that had that resonance of what it feels like when I'm in my wise part, my wise woman self. And so I've kind of overlapped and used texture here to really represent what that looks and feels like. And when I look at this card, I can feel it in my body. I can feel that wise woman archetype and that part of me. And so I know the resonance of what that feeling is. And on the back, I have written a description of what this wise woman or the Baba Yaga archetype is like in my world and in real life for me. This is another part that I've expressed in my work. This card I call walls. So this part of me comes to the forefront when I'm feeling kind of uncertain or unsafe, when I feel like I need protection. So when I was sourcing the images for this card, I was looking for things that had that energy of protection and like that kind of spiky, like don't come too close, don't hurt me. This is the card that is like a barrier between myself and others. It's like a minefield. And so it comes forward to protect me during times when I don't feel safe or when I'm not sure. And even though this part can sometimes be really uncomfortable for myself and for others, they can feel when I have this part up, it is really there for a reason. And when I lower the walls and I am able to move this part out of the forefront by attending to what it's telling me and listening to what it needs to feel safe, then the feeling of the walls sort of retreating is as palpable as the feeling of the walls coming up. So on the back, again, I write about walls and I describe them in a way that enhances and deepens into their meaning. So when I'm doing my written process on the back, sometimes I'll write about things from like a first person perspective, like I am walls, I am prickly, I am a barrier between myself and the world. Or sometimes I will write about them in sort of the third person perspective, like walls is prickly and walls provides barriers, keeping its contents inside safe and protected. So the way that you write can really be your own. You can integrate poetry or storytelling. Some of my writing makes these parts into like little personified people where, one of my parts might wear yellow socks and have spiky hair, and one of them might be a deep sea creature. So however the part really sort of comes forward to you, you can explore that and deepen into it with your writing process on the back. All right, I'll share another one with you. This card I did not use collage to represent. So this card represents the judge. And the judge inside of me is the part that really struggles with ambiguity and the part that really likes it when things are clear and defined. So this part of me thinks in black and white, right and wrong, yes and no. This is the part that's looking for that true north compass and really trying to operate from a place of values. So I didn't feel the need to be looking through my collage images for this because it felt really well represented with black and white and straight lines. And on the back, I describe it again. All right, this last one I'll share with you. This is another that I did not use collage for. I created this image with watercolor. So this card is interesting because it's not a part in the traditional sense. Not all cards have to represent parts of us. They can be representative of qualities of our life or experiences, or sort of like a personification of something in your awareness or in your experience that you want to explore more. So this card represents my lineage or my ancestry and the people who have come before me in my family line. So when I created this card, I was looking to sort of deepen and explore into my ancestry and source the support and the belonging that comes with understanding the line of people who I came from. So it felt like I needed to create this myself rather than finding an image from the collage box that was projective. So that's why I used watercolor for this. And in the description, this is something that I chose to write in first person, starting out with, "We are your ancestors, the one who came before you." And then it goes on to explain who they are, what the energy is they carry, and how they can show up and support me in my life. So those are just some examples of my parts cards. And the way that I use them in life is when I'm feeling something, when I'm aware that there's a trigger, when I feel a charge, then I know I'm not in true self, because true self comes from that compassionate, clear, connected place. So if I'm triggered, I know I'm in part. And that's the first step for me, is really understanding when I'm in part. And then noticing, okay, a part of me is feeling this way. Which part is this? And then I go into my stack and I find the part that's been ignited and I sit with it. And I may journal about it, I may meditate on it, but really understanding that this part has come forward for a very good reason and it's there with good intentions. And so I try to soften toward that part by looking at the imagery and reading what I've written on the back and understanding what the message of this part is for me and why it has come forward. And I may discover that there are several parts that are up for me. And so I might go through my stack and pull out 3 or 4 different cards and line them up next to each other and say, all right, I'm aware that you're all here. I'm aware that you're here for a reason, and I want to know more. So I'll allow these parts to sort of be in relationship with each other as I look at them side by side, as I process deeper into what might they be battling about, or what might they be supporting each other through. Some parts show up to support other parts. So for example, if I'm aware that I have an anxious part present, I may want to bring in my nurturing mother part, or I have a part that I call cocoon, which is like that kind of instinct to wrap up and get cozy and become more inward for self-care. So I might bring that part closer to support the anxious part or the triggered part that's up in the forefront, letting me know that something doesn't feel quite right in my environment. So I hope this was a helpful introduction into the way you can do parts work with art therapy. And if you like this content, please subscribe and like and share any of the videos or the content that you like here with others who you think might benefit from this. And I look forward to hearing in the comments. Please share what you think of this and any of your own parts work process as you navigate it. Thanks so much for being with me again, and I'll see you soon. Take care.